The fundamental difference between product and brand positioning has to do with the time frame. So when we look at brand positioning, what we're most concerned with is what happens after 6 months. So this doesn't mean that brand positioning doesn't have an impact before 6 months. It's just that the bulk of the impact of brand positioning is going to happen in the future, beyond that 6-month period. So what that means is when you position your brand, what you need to do is embed yourself in people's memory, and specifically into their long-term memory. And what that means is that generally brands need to be based on emotions. So typically the types of brand positioning that you see is going to be highly emotional. And the idea is that people will recall the brand in specific contexts, specific trigger events, specific buying situations. The idea is situational awareness. You want people to think of your brand when some specific event occurs. So for example, when there's a virus attack, or when they incorporate their business, or when they get sued. Those are the moments when you want people to think of your brand, and that means your brand needs to be positioned emotionally for the long term. Now with product positioning, generally what you're most concerned with is that period under 6 months. This is when people are rationally evaluating different solutions to their problem. So what they're going to be doing is comparing you to competitors and making a rational decision, or perhaps a retroactive rational justification for something they've already emotionally decided on. Now, in business to business, one of the biggest things you need to consider is that in any given quarter, the 3-month period, only about 5% of buyers are in market. So there's only 5% of buyers that are in that mindset of rationally comparing different products, different solutions. So one of the biggest missed opportunities in business to business is really hitting the 95% of people that aren't in that rational mindset. And the way you do that is not with rational differentiation. It's not by talking about why your brand is superior to competitors. The differentiation that matters in the long term with brand domination is more superficial. It's things like, do you have distinctive brand assets? Do you have a mascot? Do you have a distinctive sound? Do you have distinctive colors, distinctive design elements? That kind of differentiation matters. Now with product differentiation, often what matters are things that make you different in a more robust way. So things like you have a fundamentally faster system, or you generate a higher ROI. Those differentiators are more relevant in the short term when people are using the rational side of their brain. Now, in some cases, differentiation just doesn't really matter at the fundamental level, because if you're selling something that is a non-strategic purchase, highlighting the fact that you're fundamentally different from competitors is not really going to be that important. The other thing is that when people are looking for a solution, they're not necessarily looking for something that's different. They're not looking for something that's niche. They just want the default solution. And that's one of the most powerful things that you can achieve with brand marketing, is you can essentially reach as many prospective buyers in the market as possible and essentially create the perception that you are the default solution. You are equated with the category. And to do that requires taking broad positioning, not necessarily a highly differentiated niche positioning.